I left a casual job that I really loved, and I was hoping it would materialize into something permanent in the future. So I kept applying for roles within that organization, but nothing was materializing into anything permanent. But as soon as I left, they advertised for the roles that I was playing for. And I sat there and asked, God, did I get this wrong? Hey friends, my name is Sharon, and on this channel I share my journey of intimacy and faith with Christ with the intention of inspiring and encouraging you with your journey. Thank you so much for joining today's video, and it is my hope that this content is going to inspire and motivate you. On this channel every week, I share something faith-based that the Holy Spirit is speaking to me and wants me to share with the world out there. And it is my hope that it's gonna inspire you and encourage you with your walk with Christ. So before I left, I applied for several roles, both externally and internally. And during this time, all I was getting was rejections on my inbox or simply silence. No one was giving me feedback on my applications. During that time, I also managed to get invited for an interview for one internal role that I had applied for. And when I went for this interview, everything sounded so good. The interview panel sounded so positive, but unfortunately, a few days later, I got a rejection for that role, and that really did not sit well with me. I was so devastated, and I really mourned for that loss and that I did not get that job. And during this time, my relationship and my intimacy with God was like 50%. It was cold and sometimes hot. I will do prayers, I will do devotions here and there. My prayer was so mechanical, like it wasn't, I was just praying because yes, I'm a Christian and I need to be communicating with God on a daily basis. So for me, it was just get in there, pray, ask whatever it is, and then you'll get it. And so it was the same thing when I encountered this interview. I just prayed and I said, God, I'm praying that you go before me, help me to get this role. And I knew everything was going to be positive. Unfortunately, that was not the case. So this brings me back to the book of Exodus 32 and 33. So in 32, the Israelites are in the wilderness and they get restless because Moses is staying in Sinai for so long, and they ask Aaron what to do, and they decide to make a calf and to start worshiping it. This was a major moment of disobedience. I kind of compare it with me because I wasn't really disobedient, but I wasn't fully intimate with God to just know his voice and when he's directing me. Now in Exodus 33, which is the highlight for me and for this teaching, is when Moses came down, he talked to the Israelites, and God said to Moses that these people can still proceed to go to the promised land. However, my presence will not be with them because of their disobedience in Exodus 32. And this is how I felt when I went into that interview. I was lukewarm, like I was sometimes hot with God, sometimes cold with God, and it was out of convenience. And it feels like he said, go ahead, that's the promise of the job for you. I have good plans for you, yes, but my presence is not with you. So it feels like my presence was not with God in that interview and in that whole process. And that was a teaching moment for me to bring me back to intimacy with God. And just by closing that door for me was a realization that I needed more time to spend with God so that I could clearly hear his voice and know the direction in terms of my career direction. So Moses in Exodus 33:15 tells God, if your presence is not with me, then there's no point of me moving forward to my promise. So that is the thing that I realized, that if God's presence is not with me in my life, then the promise of a job, the promise of a house, the promise of these things of the world does not make sense if God is not with you. And therefore, moving forward, I decided I'm going to develop a consistent relationship with God, to build an altar of grace where I spend time with God. I pray and do all the things that make my walk as a Christian strong, have a strong foundation and a strong relationship with God. So if you're out there feeling so discouraged because you're receiving these constant rejections on emails for jobs that you've applied for, remember that rejection it's not a bad thing. It's protection from probably getting into a bad organization. It's probably God redirecting you to something better. There's nothing as bad as you getting into something where God is not in it, and it doesn't have God's stamp of approval. Sometimes what looks like a missed opportunity is actually God redirecting you to stepping into something where He is in the journey with you. And it has to be somewhere where there is peace so that you can concentrate and focus your life on what looked like a missed opportunity was God stopping me from stepping into something that did not carry His presence for my life. And that is how I was reflecting. Like, if His presence is not in my career journey, then there is no point of me getting into whichever job that I'm applying for. Also, another positive way to look at rejections is that they make room for an environment where there's better alignment with God's purpose for your life. So previously for me, I was striving so much to impress managers so that they would consider me for permanent roles. And when I entered this new organization, I noticed immediately that I was welcomed. I was needed. Everyone was thankful that I had joined the team. There's nothing as beautiful as joining a team where it's all kindness and positivity and a peaceful environment for you to grow in your career journey. And just after I left that organization, they advertised for the roles that I had been praying for. And that didn't sit right. So I asked God, did I really miss this? But this just distracted me from what God needed me to be focusing at that time, which is just being grateful for an opportunity that I have just received, being grateful for a new job. Instead, the devil was trying to distract me from that whole environment of being thankful. So the Bible reminds us in 1 Peter 5:8 to stay spiritually alert because the enemy is out there seeking and looking for opportunities to devour and distract and to steal from you, to steal your joy. This is what exactly was happening to me. He was distracting me. Then I paused and asked myself, look at where I am. I have a job that has peace, that has support from the first week, where you're welcomed, you're supported, and there's no striving. You are actually in favor. You're walking in favor and in the goodness of God. I don't have unrest. I instead have peace. I don't have to think about where my next shift, where my next role is coming, because I have a permanent role that enables me to just work consistently and grow myself. So this has really taught me a few important nuggets. First is that closed doors are not yours, even if they open up later. And especially if God has given you a different direction and if He's redirected your path. Secondly, you don't miss out, especially if God has redirected you somewhere else. God is the perfect timing. He does not wait for the perfect timing. The Bible tells us in Isaiah 55:8-9 that God's ways are higher than our ways. God promises us in Jeremiah 29:11 that His plans for our life are good and not for distraction. If you're out there experiencing and receiving all these no's in your inbox, if you're getting crickets of silence with no responses from your job applications, if you're wondering what direction to take, remember, you're not alone. Share in the comments, guys. Have you ever had that moment where you're asking God, did I miss this moment? Share your experience in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope it was an inspiration and an encouragement to you that you are not alone. We are together in this journey of faith, in getting to know the character of God and our relationship with Christ. And I'll see you guys in the next video.